Hi everyone, welcome to another video session. So I'm going over chapters 10 and 11 today with the expectation that we will be meeting shortly to interview each other and begin to prepare for the job interview process. Um, Scooting on into chapter 10, uh, the best tip that the book gives you is just simply do a lot of research on a company you're applying for. This isn't easy, especially given that, well, many of you will probably have to kind of resort to the carpet bomb technique, where you'll be, applying to 50 companies or 100 places or however many it is. But ideally, you're able to do research on your company. You're able to find out something about the culture, something about any recent events regarding the company. Um, I will say as well that ideally, uh, you'll be able to find examples of resumes and cover letters in your field, since some fields can have very specific conventions, which might sound odd, but if you take academia, for example, there are very specific sort of structures that are inherent in the cover letter and the CV. Um, Even that we use CVs instead of resumes. Um, so, for example, my cover letter as I go out on the job market for, well, there's no jobs really right now, but if there are any jobs, I will go out. And a recent graduate of a PhD program will briefly mention what he or she is applying for, and then move on into a description of that candidate's dissertation, how that research possibly ties to the job itself, in a long paragraph following that initial introduction. So a cover letter, depending on the field, might look very different. Um, so ultimately, you're going to want to structure yours according to the conventions of your field. And this is a spot where LinkedIn, for example, can be very useful. Being able to build a network of people that are at least somewhat related to your field, people who have been established in the field are quite often, I mean, there's some jerks out there, but they're quite often willing to provide you with an example of what a cover letter should look like. So, first bit of advice: do lots of research on the company. Second bit: be on LinkedIn. And I say that even knowing my LinkedIn account sucks, and I don't have a picture or anything on there. So, anyways, I've got to spruce mine up myself. Um, so your cover letter ultimately is a business document. So all the rules of business documents apply to the cover letter. Um, Another great bit of advice from the textbook is, I mean, the cover letter is essentially what you can do for your employer. So that's the kind of guiding star to keep in mind. Ideally, your cover letter will also be one page. So be on the lookout for redundancies. All the 7 C's apply here, but do keep it concise if possible. The textbook here is also going to recommend an ADA structure. So while the conventions of your field might differ slightly, I will also say that the ADA convention could be an interesting thing to experiment with. So I'm going to have you, at least for this class, write your cover letter with that ADA structure in mind. So the initial A, the attention, you're not really after a hook here, because you really do need to mention the job that you're for which you're applying, where you saw it. But here, I think mentioning a connection with the company can be useful, or even beginning with the following the job that you're applying for, something about the company that makes you want to apply and work at this company. So the interest part in the succeeding paragraph, essentially you're going to be appealing to logos and ethos. So this is a paragraph in which you will talk about your skills, your experience, and be as specific as possible here. So concrete and specific details. So not just I can program in a couple of computer languages, but list your experience. If you have specific projects on which you've built, uh, I don't know, an app or something along those lines, do describe that, right? Get into detail and keep going back to the ad. So keep trying to parse exactly what it is they're after in the ad. The succeeding paragraph, desire, you're going to make or attempt to make an emotional connection here. So here the book is recommending something brief on the personal qualities that the employer might be looking for, the type of candidate that the employer is seeking. And here, remember that it is about what you can do for the employer. So, don't mention out of the blue, I'm a dog person or something like that. But you want to ideally pair these personal qualities with what the employer is seeking. So something about their corporate culture, or something about even the geographical ties are great as well to mention. But this is a paragraph in which you'll talk a little bit about the type of candidate and person you are. And then finally, action. It's, you can't exactly like give a deadline or anything like respond to me by Friday, or you can shove this job, or anything like that. But here you're going to essentially mention that you're available to interview at the employer's convenience, something along those lines. This is also a nice chance to mention the company one more time because personalized cover letters really do stand out in the field. So you're going to come across as a thoughtful candidate, somebody who has done the research, you've looked into the company. It's apparent that you connect with the company already on a number of levels. You're somebody who's prepared to presumably step in on day one and contribute. So following this video, be sure you read the example on page 198. There's a very brief analysis that follows, but basically talks about how well the cover letter is written and adheres to this structure. So once you write your cover letter, then perform a similar analysis on your own. In terms of the resume, so there are some do's and don'ts on page 204. Primarily, the most important one is don't go past 2 pages, and if you can make it to 1 page, all the better. That's great. For our purposes, for our class, I'd like you to know the different types of resumes. For the most part, the reverse chronological resume is the most important. It's the most widely used. So follow the template on page 207, since I'm kind of assuming that you'll be using this one. If you are indeed applying to grad school, some grad programs will ask for a resume. Some will actually ask for a CV. And if you need help building that CV, I'm, of course, willing to help. So I mentioned LinkedIn, but do also review, aside from the different types of resumes, do read fairly carefully the scannable resume. The importance of keywords in a resume cannot be overstated. These types of scanning softwares and the like are used very commonly these days, and their use will only increase, along with, their use by headhunting firms and the like, employment firms. So be aware of the most important keywords for your industry and incorporate them into your resume where possible. So that's 216. So have a look. So in the days to come, essentially what we're going to do is over Zoom, we're basically going to interview each other. One thing that I would like you to do is try and think of 2 or 3 questions that pertain specifically to your field. All right, so you're finding a job listing in your field. Hopefully there are more jobs than in my field. It's grim out there, and yeah, it all kind of sucks right now. But find a specific job listing and write your cover letter in response to that job listing, and then come up with 2 or 3 questions that you feel you would be likely to hear from a prospective employer, or from that prospective employer, right? The author of that job listing. Um, Aside from that, also come up with a couple of questions about the company. So a job interview is going to end. Oftentimes, I would say probably 99% of times, the prospective employer might ask, do you have any questions for us? And this is one last chance for you to really kind of put your mark and stand out from the pack. So I have a few suggestions for that. We can, I think, probably come up with some type of commonly asked questions and the like. So maybe we'll do a Google Doc, something along those lines. But you might say just have a couple back of the pocket responses, such as what do you look for in an ideal colleague, or something along those lines, or who is someone who stands out in this position and why. So something along those lines, but we'll work to come up with additional responses. You should always have 2 or 3 questions available for an interview about a specific company. Okay, I'm also going to have you answer, because you will always be asked these questions. One, why do you want to work here? So prepare an answer accordingly, and prepare an answer that brings in something about the company. I mean, that's an ideally structured answer. Also be prepared to talk about your strengths and your weaknesses, and what makes you unique, or what specifically would you bring to the company. These are very common. Yes, I'm wearing wristbands. Got a workout in earlier. It's embarrassing. Don't worry about it. These are very common questions to hear, and you'll often have to describe just what it is that you're bringing to the table. So my goal is to get this to 10 minutes, and I'm at 12. So if you have any questions, please holler at me. I'll be emailing y'all with the details of our job interview process. So I hope everyone's well. Stay safe. Stay out of commonly trafficked public buildings if you can. Wash your hands a lot. Wear a mask. All those things. So thanks, everyone.